Welcome back, focused learners. Let's jump right into this explainer, because today we are tackling what is arguably one of the most urgent and, frankly, fascinating challenges of our time. I want you to picture this. It's 2026. A solo developer is sitting in a coffee shop with a laptop and a basic cloud account, and they are wielding the kind of supercomputing power that used to belong exclusively to trillion-dollar tech giants and top-secret research labs. I mean, it's an incredible reality, right? But here's the catch. While innovation is moving at warp speed, governments and regulators are completely out of breath, just trying to keep up. It's an absolute paradox. So today, we're going to explore what might just be the ultimate solution to fix it. Okay, let's take a quick look at our roadmap for today. We're going to untangle this complex policy challenge by covering the AI governance paradox. Enter DyFram, diagnosing risk, scaling rules, red bands, and citizen protection. And we'll wrap up with the future of policy. Let's dive in. Starting off with part 1, the AI governance paradox. I want to pose an impossible paradox directly to the regulators and CIOs watching us today. How do you regulate a living, constantly evolving AI system using yesterday's static rules? You know, you're tasked with protecting the public, but relying on these massive 200-page compliance checklists that were built for fixed, traditional software, well, it's literally like trying to catch a river in a cardboard box. AI just isn't static. It learns, it scales, and its capabilities shift under our feet. So the crucial point is this. Traditional governance gives you these broken binary labels. You assess the system exactly once, you label it as high or low risk, and then you just file the paperwork away in a cabinet. But an AI system evolves. It might start out as a harmless little internal tool and then suddenly scale up to serve millions of citizens across global borders. We desperately need to move away from reactive, one-off compliance and shift toward dynamic, continuous recalibration. Basically, we need live infrastructure. Which brings us nicely to part 2. Enter DyFram by GovLeans. To fill this massive hole in global policy, we don't just need a tweak, we need a complete paradigm shift. Take a look at this quote. Governance should start the moment you define what an AI system is, not after it has already been launched. I mean, that brilliantly captures the exact mindset we need today. That is from Daramaya Bassian, the visionary founder and CEO of GovLeans Ltd. You see, GovLeans built DyFram, and it operates on the foundational philosophy that governance absolutely must be baked in from day one, rather than bolted on in a panic after some major public incident. So what exactly is DyFram? Well, first off, it is not some dusty regulatory document, not at all. It's a dynamic, categorization-first AI governance operating system. GovLeans Ltd. actually refers to it as the democracy of AI governance. What it does is generate context-aware obligations that actually evolve in real time as the AI systems change. For a government or public sector leader, this is a turnkey infrastructure that finally allows you to operate at the exact same speed as the technology itself. All right, part 3, diagnosing risk through the MDCM. Let's lift the hood here and see exactly how this engine builds a complete picture to give regulators the clarity they've been begging for. I like to think of this 4-step stack sort of like a medical evaluation. First, you take the patient's history and describe the system using MDCM. So that's your medical chart. Then you measure the risk to get an R-score. That's your diagnostic test. Based on that score, you assign a governance level from G1 to G7. That's the prescribed treatment. And finally, you securely share accountability. It's just a perfectly logical, seamless flow. Let's zoom in on that medical chart for a second, the multidimensional categorization matrix, or MDCM. This thing is the ultimate diagnostic tool, because it doesn't just ask a basic question like, hey, is this AI? No, it asks 7 highly specific questions. What is its capability? What's the specific use? What is the potential impact or harm? Who is the actor building it? What's their ownership class? How much human control is realistically there? And what's the actual real-world context? It sees the complete 360-degree picture, which is exactly what policymakers need to eliminate those dangerous blind spots. Now, all 7 of those dimensions are fed into the system's DCIGIGen, which processes them into a totally transparent, quantifiable number known as the R-score. But listen, here's the absolute game changer for governments. Regulatory boards can actually calibrate the weights behind this score. You can run tests and fine-tune the R-score parameters to perfectly fit the unique sensitivities of your specific national industries. That makes this an incredibly adaptable, sovereign tool for literally any jurisdiction in the world. Moving on to part 4, scaling rules G1 to G7. So, How does this framework practically translate that R score into fair, symmetrical obligations? This right here is vital for driving national adoption. You see, the old rules often take a G7 or nothing approach. But if you apply massive enterprise-grade bureaucracy to a local five-person startup that's just building an internal email tool, you're going to completely crush your local innovation economy. DyFram fixes this by scaling symmetrically. It's genuinely fair and light touch for small tools, but it becomes highly demanding and totally uncompromising when it comes to critical infrastructure. And this brilliantly illustrates that massive difference in scale. On one end of the spectrum, you have a G1 system. That's your solo developer's internal text assistant, which really just requires a baseline of safe defaults. But on the exact opposite extreme, you have a G7 system, like a lethal autonomous defense system requiring extreme constraints, mandatory human vetoes, and top-level strategic oversight. For the policymakers watching, this proves just how beautifully the G1 to G7 levels can scale up and down to match actual reality. And once a system actually lands on a specific G level, it doesn't just get some vague, unhelpful mandate telling developers to, use due care. No way. DyFram provides concrete, actionable obligations across 5 distinct layers. It covers your universal baseline safety, jurisdictional legal mapping, classification-specific product constraints, user-facing requirements, and organizational oversight. It literally tells companies exactly what they need to do when they walk into the office on Monday morning. Okay, part 5, red bands and citizen protection. Now we are getting into how DyFram aggressively protects citizens from severe algorithmic harms. It features these built-in emergency brakes called red bands. If an AI system touches essential life chances decisions, we're talking hiring, credit, or housing, or if it involves biometric surveillance, coercive state power, or lethal autonomy, a red band is instantly triggered. And it doesn't matter if it's built by a tiny startup in a garage. These triggers guarantee strict minimum G levels and intense oversight, so sensitive uses never, ever slip through the cracks. Building directly on that is the Conditional Prohibition Protocol, or CPP. I want you to think of CPP as DyFram's constitutional law layer. It actively prevents the blind normalization of high-risk technologies like mass social scoring of everyday citizens. It very clearly dictates when a sensitive AI capability is totally allowed, when it is conditionally allowed under strict rules, or when it is flat-out strictly prohibited. No gray areas. Now, for the government officials and policymakers tuning in today, the Jurisdictional Adaptation Layer, or JAL, is about to become your best friend. This layer seamlessly maps DyFram's universal technical outputs directly over to your specific local laws, your data protection acts, and your regional regulations. It's amazing because it allows you to utilize a globally standardized technical engine while fully maintaining and enforcing your own localized legal sovereignty. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the concept of MCR, because it takes citizens and turns them from passive subjects into active, accountable participants in AI safety. Think about it. If someone is operating a high-risk AI in a hospital or a bank, MCR ensures they are properly trained and effectively licensed to use that specific tool. It essentially demands that the human in the loop actually knows what they are doing. Finally, that brings us to Section 6, the future of policy. So we've walked through the mechanics, but what does this massive paradigm shift actually mean for national and global adoption? Well, Govlanes Ltd, under the brilliant leadership of DyFram Abbasi N, has basically handed governments a turnkey dynamic infrastructure on a silver platter. Their driving ethos is that governance absolutely must be deep enough to matter, but concrete enough to actually act on. DyFram works at the blistering speed of modern innovation. It protects your citizens, it fosters your local startup ecosystems, and it gives regulators a transparent, calibratable dashboard to oversee the whole shebang. And honestly, that is exactly why this is called the democracy of AI governance. It empowers the solo developer, the massive enterprise, the end user, and the regulator alike. So to all the policymakers and government leaders watching this right now, the tools to actively and safely manage the AI revolution are finally right here in front of you. The only question left is, are you ready to bring the democracy of AI governance to your jurisdiction? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today, and as always, keep learning.